All right, I'm in the car with my wife. Say hi.
Hi, why do I look like a skeleton? What's
Right.
wrong with your camera?
So, I don't have much to say about this movie, The BADman. I just have 2 takes to say about this movie right by the end, right off the end. That's all I'm going to talk about, okay? The first thing I want to talk about. I like how the greatest terrorist in American history, like, this dude successfully flooded Gotham, round up all these followers who were willing to die for him, right? Like, so basically the Capitol riot, right? Like, that's obviously what it's going for, right? Like, same like with Halloween Kills. So even though the movie was, I'm sure, made and written before that, you get, I'm sure it was made before it, but you get the point. All these revolutionaries, those evil leftist revolutionaries, those evil bad guys, but he rounds up all these villains. He's like the greatest terrorist in like American history, right? Like, I mean, he successfully bombed the city to such a degree where you saw the damage if you saw the movie, and they put him in a cell next to another guy so they can, who I'm assuming is a terrorist, who I'm assuming is Joe King, is the Joker. I'm just gonna call him Joe King. They put him next to Freddy Krueger, Joe King. They just put these two we don't know anything about the guy he's talking to. It might not be the Joker, but he uses the word clown. Who the fuck could that be? So you put the Riddler, this guy who's like this serious terrorist, in a cell where he can communicate with another mass criminal. That's really smart. Maybe Epstein's in the cell with him. So fucking bad. Yeah, let's just put him in the cell so he can talk to the guy so that they can become friends. Yeah, we just want our criminals to make friends. These giant mass criminals. Awful. And the second thing I want to say is that there's a movie from the 30s, so it's 2022, almost 100-year-old movie called Stagecoach. This movie is almost 100 years old, and that movie is actually extremely progressive for the 30s, actually. It is very conservative film. In hindsight, like if you go back and watch Stagecoach, it's very conservative. It is about, it takes place in the West, and you guys have probably seen Stagecoach, but if you haven't, it's about these Western guys on a stagecoach riding across, the country, and they're on the run from like Native Americans, right? So the Native Americans are the bad guys in Stagecoach, but it's very liberal and progressive actually, because one of the characters is a prostitute, and we kind of learn not to judge her for that, and like it's a very progressive movie for the 30s. If you watch Stagecoach, you see it's actually pretty progressive. However, Stagecoach is funny because it ends with the Native Americans attacking these guys, and there's this big fight, and it looks like so dour, but then the good old United States military shows up and saves the day. They scare the natives away, and the happy music plays, and yay, good for the United States, frontiermen coming and saving our characters. That is how the BADman essentially ends. This 3-hour mob epic about emo. The whole film is made for the Hot Topic crowd. It's made just for film Twitter Hot Topic nerds, right? Like, it's so pandering and generic. Get out. It's so pandering and stupid. But the whole film, this whole like liberal film about white privilege and rich people, ends with martial law being declared and the United States Coast Guard, the United States military, coming in and helping the civilians and doing damage control, and it's happy. And we get the mayor gives a speech about how we have to restore faith in our elected officials. It's just Stagecoach. In 100 years of cinema! 100 years of cinema, we still are movies are still just American government propaganda. 100 years and nothing's changed. 100 years. How does Stagecoach end? The good old American government comes in and saves the day. How does the BADman end? Well, after BADman saves the day with the help of the police, because the police are such good guys in the modern world. Wow, not all cops are bad. There's literally a scene, not all cops work for you. Not all cops are bad. It ends with the fucking police and the BADman working together to stop these radical leftist criminals, these radical reactionary, radical tastical villains. And it ends with the United States military coming in and they're saving the people, and we're getting this speech about returning to power and why you gotta vote. BADman, go to the polls, vote. That's how you save things, vote. folks, the Riddler was the bad guy because he wanted to kill the evil politicians that were murdering people. The Riddler's the bad guy, and he's got all these followers, and they're Capitol rioting, and they're gonna destroy the country, and he's the greatest terrorist in the fucking country in the world, but we're gonna put him right next to Joe King so that he can make friends for the sequel! We gotta get a sequel! I love all these fucking film Twitter people that are like, oh, these Marvel movies, they're always just existing to promote sequels. That's all this movie does. It just exists to make money and make another sequel. Fuck! 100 years of cinema, and we're still getting Stagecoach. There's a movie called Stagecoach 100 years ago. How does it... The same ending. It's the same movie. You fucking idiots. You fucking people. I can't believe I gave this movie my fucking money. Fuck!